Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel once again. I feel like I just did a video. Actually, I did this morning. So if you watch the caulking video, I'm wearing the same clothing. I just changed my hat so I look a little different. But anyways, we're going to be hanging drywall on the closet build that we framed a couple weeks ago. So it's just been in the works since I got it started. So let me turn you around and I'll show you the tools that we need to do and a couple tips to get started. So here's the closet once again. And so we've got just over 9-foot ceiling in here. So we're going to have to do a couple sheets of what's that stuff called, drywall? Yeah, so we got the drywall here in the hallway. It is 4 feet by 8 feet long. You can get it in longer sections than that, but 8 feet does it for me. And so as you'll notice, when we framed it, we put these cripples in the center instead of on 16 on center. So we're gonna have to measure over from here to there, which I already have, which is 74 inches. So I'm gonna have to cut a board down, and then I'm gonna start all the way up against the ceiling, and then I'll put one on the ground, and I'm gonna put a filler piece here in the middle, and that'll make sense later when we actually go to mud it. It'll be a lot easier, a lot less seams, and so on and so forth. The tools I'm going to be using though, I've got a fancy drywall screw gun. You can use a regular drill, or you can use a screwdriver if you really wanted to spend a lot of time, but I would recommend not doing that. Razor knife, pencil, measuring tape for obvious reasons, and a box of screws. These are 1 1/4 inch drywall screw. They are purposely done for drywall because they are very sharp and pointy, so you can stab them in the drywall. They have a Phillips head, and on this tool they fit nicely on there, and then when you jab it in the wall, it really does a great job. Anyways, those are the tools we're gonna use, and then this is called a drywall square. You'll see how that's used here in a little bit when I actually cut some drywall down. So anyways, with no further ado, let's get into cutting and installing some drywall. So when you hang your drywall, there's 2 ways of cutting around a door. First, you can measure it and cut it out, but that takes a lot more time. So the way I like to do it is you take a drywall saw and you cut up or down the sides like so. You take your knife and you score it across the top. And then once you score it, you can push it and it breaks free. So you just go up and then you cut the back side and it'll fall right off. Just like that. So a couple tips I thought of while I was actually screwing this off in here are as follows. I think I actually already mentioned it, but I think I got distracted like halfway through. So these are 1 1/4 inch screws. Now I'm only using 1/2 inch drywall, and so 1 1/4 inch screws work just fine. But if you're going with like a 3/4 inch drywall, you're gonna want an 1 5/8 inch drywall screw or larger. And just be careful that if you get too long of a screw and you're screwing it into a wall, that you're not going to puncture any electrical or water lines that are coming through the wall. That's the reason you want to pick the screw length proper. Anyways, and then also when I'm cutting, and this is one of the best example, when I'm cutting this right here, instead of cutting it flush, I'm cutting it at a slight angle. Not super important, but the reason I do that is because when you're hanging the door on this right here, if the drywall sticks past, your shims will get caught and it's really just not fun. So cut at a little taper, you don't have to worry about the shims getting hit or the door being thrown off, or just you're just miss out on a whole bunch of stuff. Now the only reason you wouldn't want to do that is because if you're using the scraps for something, then you got a tapered edge. And then also on the screw spacing, you try to set all your screws right behind your trim. So your trim's gonna be right here. So I always put mine on the first stud in. That way, when I put my trim over it, I cover these, so I don't have to come over and mud over and sand over all of these screw holes. Now there's some over here that I missed up there, but not a big deal. I'll mud those and we'll be good to go. So anyway, those are the tips I was thinking of. Oh, also one more. The reason I am drywalling the inside of the closet first is because if I did the outside and then needed to get in a full sheet, I couldn't because these doors are too small, I wouldn't be able to access it through the end of that wall there. Now this one has a big door opening, but sometimes your closets only have a single door and you can't get in a full sheet of sheetrock. And so by leaving that wall undone, you can slide them in and then lift them up. Whereas if you did that wall first, or if you did the outside first, you wouldn't be able to do that. So that's another tip. But anyways, let's get to maybe a longer time lapse and get this all done. I have yet explained how to measure and cut sheetrock yet, so here's an explanation. So I need to cut these pieces next. So one for up there, one for down there. And so I measure from this here, this corner, to this corner. I know my closet's exactly 24 inches deep, the framing is, so mine is a ½ inch, it'd be 23.5 inches. So instead of making it 23.5 inches like exactly, we're gonna make it just a little bit less than that. That way there's a little wiggle room, because not all walls are straight. And when you're doing your drywalling, you're mudding, the little gap on each side is not gonna be a big deal. And so if this is 23.5, make it like 23 3/8. That way you have enough room to squeeze one in. So this one actually accidentally was the right size, but let me show you how to cut another one down real quick. Take your measuring tape and your pencil and measure over the 23 3/8 like you planned. And then grab yourself a drywall square, like this one, and then stick it on your line, and then pinch the bottom. Let me adjust you down here. Pinch the bottom with your toe, and then take your knife and just slide down your straight edge. And once you get the front scored, you just take it and break it. And then you go around back and you just use your knife and cut up the corner here, or down the corner. And then if there's any other pieces, you just tear it off basically. And that is how you cut down a piece of drywall. So let's go put this on. That's how I screw it on. Okay, here's a couple more pointers. When you're screwing it off, the pattern for just basic drywall screwing is about 1 foot from each other. So this actually turned out pretty perfect. I just wasn't even measuring, but it looks like 1 foot to me anyways. But so 1 foot from each other. When you're screwing drywall on the ceiling, you'll want to do 6 inches on the perimeter around the corners of the sheet, and then 12 inches in the field, they call it. But it may differ in your area. And also, I am not a drywaller. I am more of a handyman type of guy. So don't take my word for granted, or whatever it's called. Take it for face value, I guess I should say. But then also, when you're screwing it in, this thing has a nose stop on it. So when I push the screw in, it's gonna stop it right where I need it to, and I can adjust it. But if you're screwing in by hand or with a drill or an impact like this, you can buy little stops for it, but this one doesn't have it. So if I were to screw that in, I'd want to make sure that my screw doesn't penetrate the surface. So like that's a little deep, but it hasn't broken the paper. So you don't want it to break the paper, but you don't want it to be proud either. So you want to be able to fill a little bit of mud, but if you break the paper, it's not going to hold on very well, so it'll start falling off or cracking. And then also the last tip I was thinking of is, on the ground, usually you raise it up off the ground a tiny bit. That way, if this room ever had water in it, it doesn't soak up into the wall. So that block's probably a little thick, but it's no big deal. So that raises it up off the ground. So if this room were to ever have water in it, it won't start molding the walls as quickly, but it'll give you a chance to dry the room out. Anyways, let's get cracking and get the rest of this screwed off and put together. Finished. Check it out. All the drywall is hung and ready for mud and tape. That's not gonna be in this video, that'll be another video, but yeah, that's looking good. So something a good contractor will do once he gets done with his job is clean up the mess. Or if carpet is going to be kept, not making a mess in the first place, putting protection down. But this flooring is going to be replaced, and I'm going to clean it anyway, so you won't even tell that it actually had anything done on it. But anyways, you may notice I am in a different outfit than I was like 30 seconds ago. That's because I ran out of drywall. That's why this one's a different color. So I had to go pick one up, but I figured while I was on the way there, I might as well go to the gym. So I changed into my gym clothes, trying to burn off some of the extra love handles that marriage gives you. But anyways, it is all done and it looks good. So I'm excited. If you have any questions, again, feel free to ask in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and go back and watch my other videos. I think you would enjoy them. So anyways, always looking forward to what you guys will say and maybe some helpful comments on what you'd like more or to see more in the videos. So anyways, have a good one. We'll catch you later. God bless.